Author Paballo Makhetha documents the ongoing history of DITAU Primary School based at Orlando East in Soweto in her book DITAU Alumni. The book follows the history of the school, how it was founded, its former principal and ex-students of the school. To share more on the book, we're joined by the author Paballo Makhetha and former principal Edward Tenza. A very good morning to you too. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Morning.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm
Good
going to start
morning,
with you,
thank
Paballo.
you.
Share more on the book and why did you decide to write on the history of the school?
I have realized that most of the history, especially about great educators like Edward Tenza, is slowly diminishing, especially in the township settings.
Yeah.
So I actually looked for him for quite some time, and we managed to connect after I published my first book, because I needed that voice that said we're going the right direction.
Yes, yes.
So it was actually his idea. After we opened a library in his honor at DITAU, that was about 2 years ago. And he said, we cannot just let the history dissipate like this. So the first edition is actually his own writing.
Oh, wow.
So it was very easy for me because he just wrote and I typed. And we're going to take it forward now because every 2 years we'll be having a new edition based on all the anecdotes that we'll be receiving from the former alumni and all the DITAU patrons for that matter.
Right, right. And we repeatedly keep talking about the history of the school. What is that history of the school and what is it about the school that propelled you to start writing a book about it?
Great educators like Edward Tenza. When the townships were in disarray, we had the best educators to show us how to navigate a life back then. And that set a good grounding upon which we could work as we grew up. And I think that is what we realized is missing. And that is why myself and my colleagues have decided to go back in his honor and all, most of them who we have so quickly forgotten, to just pick up the pieces and run with rebuilding schools and encouraging young people in the townships.
Okay, right. Edward Tenza, let me also bring you into this conversation. I mean, we've seen and heard so many people showering praises and heaping praises on your legacy and the kind of role that you played in running the school. And I mean, to a point where the library was even opened in your honor. That shows the amount of work that you've done for the school, right? Just take us through that role that you played in that school.
The what?
Your role that you played in running of the school.
Oh, well, as headmaster, like all headmasters, we try to put our school on a map, especially with the results. At that time it was standard 6 results, prestigious results. And we think DITAU was one of the top schools in Orlando. Many times we topped the whole area in terms of best results.
Right.
She is one of our former students and many others.
Okay. And I heard that the school produced so many well-known personalities. Who are some of them?
Professor Mafule, Humphrey Mafule, he's no more.
Right.
And when he was at DITAU, there was a project in Soweto, the Gifted Child Program. And Arthur Mafule was one of the most brilliant students we ever taught. So they were taken to Orlando West High under Dr. S.K. Matsike. And from all schools, all the brilliant children, they had special class, special teacher. And we're very proud that our own Arthur, Humphrey Mafule, was one of them. Okay. And eventually, after years, Humphrey Mafule became a professor in the University of Northwest. So that was our pride. We prided ourselves by the type of student we produced.
So what is it about the school that produced such personalities and about the results? What is it that the school was doing right?
It was in terms of a methodology. For instance, in 1987, I was invited by the British Council to tour the whole of the UK. And I went to schools in Scotland, Wales, London, and so on. And I observed, but what I observed, I used to tell the British teacher, they are rich in resources. We are rich in human resources. Our teachers are some of the best in the world. Because I visited Scotland, Wales, London, and so on, and watched as they taught. When I got to a school, I said, I am a headmaster, you are a headmaster. We have something in common, but don't worry about me. I want to go and sit in class. So I went class by class to learn. And when I came back, I applied many of their methodologies to DITAU. That's how I've lifted our standards.
Got you. Now, Paballo, in as much as you are a former student of the school, you wrote the book based on your personal experiences. But I suppose you went the extra mile in terms of getting more research, doing more research and getting input from different people about their own personal experiences of the school. So what went into the research before writing this book?
Mainly consultation with fellow former alumni, but I think most importantly was going back to the school in its current state and establishing just where we have moved from to where they're at. And then when we connected, we had that thing in common that says, we need to go back and give back to the current educators, because they're really overwhelmed. The teachers are experiencing with the current situation, social challenges, things that Edward Tenza really didn't have to worry about that much. And as the saying goes, it takes a village, it takes a community to raise children. So that was really the motivation. And drawing back, we all had common experiences when we sat around the table and spoke. We said, our parents, our teachers were more present because life was much easier back then. And we have, when we reintegrated, we came from all walks of life. So we could share our different experiences and the journeys that we had traveled and put back into the book to say there is always hope. If you look at resources like that I just mentioned, we had far less back then. Than what is available today. But with the more the resources, the less the results we get from the current learners.
So as you did your consultation and did your research about the school and writing the book, of course, so from what you've gathered, how is the school now compared to your era when you're still a student?
I got a message about a month ago. The school is actually demolished right now. It's in the process of being rebuilt. This was a project that is over 20 years overdue, because during that time, we actually, he reminded me that we were moving desks to the building that was used up until last year. And that was a plan for the education department to rebuild the school. So it's currently being reconstructed. I think the learners are in makeshift classrooms for now, hoping to finish the new building by the end of this year. So that is a good progress that has been made. A little late, but we are very happy about that. So we are helping maintain it to better levels than where we left off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Paballo and Edward Tenza, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time, and we thank you for the kind of work that you do and the kind of role that you played in terms of building the school and producing, immaculate graduates.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We just spoke to author Paballo Makhetha on the book she wrote titled DITAU Alumni, and the former principal Edward Tenza.